In June 2013, Patrick Byrne was charged with assault causing harm under Section 3 of the Non-Fatal Offences Against the Person Act 1997. He was later brought to court where he pleaded guilty. He faced a potential term of imprisonment of up to 12 months or a fine of €1,500 or both.
I've always drunk from a young age. I enjoy it, you know? If you drink with the lads, it's relaxing, you know? I think so anyway. Nothing wrong with it. I don't know what was different that night. It was Mackie's birthday and yeah, probably had a few too many. Got a bit stupid and things got out of hand. I lost control of myself. I saw red and that was it.
Because Patrick pleaded guilty and accepted responsibility for his actions, the judge felt that he might be suitable for a restorative justice intervention and referred him to an offender reparation panel. This meant that Patrick could possibly avoid a criminal conviction by making up for what he did.
Initially, I thought that this was like a second chance. So of course I'm going to go for it. I mean, how hard can it be?
Restorative justice is a response to crime which is victim sensitive and engages those people most affected by a crime. It aims to repair the harm caused to victims and communities and also allows for offenders to be rehabilitated and reintegrated. It offers a unique opportunities to offenders to face up to what they've done, to take responsibility for their actions and to make up for the harm that their offending has caused. It's about reparation, not punishment. It can be used for all types of crimes, including serious crimes, and for all types of offenders, adult offenders, young offenders, and even repeat offenders. I suppose it's different to the traditional criminal law system, which concentrates on breaches of the law, proving wrongdoing, punishment, and is based around a lot of formal rules and procedures and professionals. Whereas restorative justice, it focuses primarily on the harm caused by the offence. It focuses on repairing that harm and actively involves the people most affected by a crime. And it appears in less formal settings. Offenders are held much more accountable in a much more personal and challenging way. I suppose the benefits are that victims get to be heard, they get to tell their story, they are able to ask questions such as, why me? They get an opportunity to have the harm repaired, and they also get assurances from the offenders about future behaviour. Communities are also affected by crime, and restorative justice takes account of the impact that crime has on communities. For offenders, they get a chance to repair the harm that they've done. They get to put the offence behind them. Most offenders are actually quite remorseful about their actions, especially once they've had an opportunity to see the impact that their behaviour has had on victims and communities. They also get support to avoid reoffending behaviour in the future through attending programmes for drug or alcohol abuse and through anger management courses. There are two main models of restorative justice for adults in Ireland. They are offender reparation panels and victim offender mediation. Cases are generally referred from the court for the restorative process, although the courts will always retain control of those cases. The criminal case is usually adjourned, and this allows for a restorative agreement to be agreed between panel members and the offender. Those agreements will contain certain action points, and once those action points are completed, then the matter will be referred back to the court, and once those steps have been taken that are outlined in the report, then the court will look at that and take those issues into account before passing a sentence on an offender.
The first step in the process is a meeting between the offender and a caseworker. The main purpose is to prepare the offender for a first meeting with the panel.
When I met Patrick first, it was important to explain the process to him and to outline what he might be expected to do so that he could make an informed decision about whether or not to participate. It is completely voluntary, so he could have chosen to opt out at any stage, in which case it would have been returned to the court and the judge would proceed with sentencing. And most of our participants, though, find it a positive experience. So one of the things that we try to do here is explain that the panel will decide on his suitability, depending on a few factors: his willingness to make amends, his willingness to take responsibility, his own remorse, and victim empathy. So I also outlined the key questions that the panel would ask him so that he could be prepared and have time to reflect on it before the panel hearing. One of the things that we try to do here is to establish rapport with the offender so that we could build a safe, honest environment. I think that restorative justice is a great way for offenders to take responsibility and for them to be able to draw a line in the sand so they can move on from the incident.
The panel is made up of 3 people, one from the community, one from the guards, and one from the Probation Service. The caseworker is there at all times too. The first panel will examine Patrick's attitude towards the offence, help him to understand better the full impact of his behaviour, deepen his sense of remorse, and provide an opportunity for him to make reparation and get support to stay out of trouble. Agreed actions will be written up at this first meeting.
You're very welcome, Patrick. Make yourself comfortable, and there's some fresh water there if you'd like some.
All right.
Okay. Well, before we get started, I'd just like to ask you a couple of questions. What do you understand about restorative justice, and what are you expecting out of today's meeting? I know Miriam has met with you and discussed it with you.
Well, I know it's a chance for me to make up for what I did and bring that to a judge and possibly avoid a criminal conviction.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is part of it. In a nutshell, the process is about looking at what happened, who was affected by it and how any harm done can be fixed, and also looks towards avoiding future reoffending. Now, I'd like to start by clarifying a few things about the process and asking you a bit about yourself. Then I'm going to hand over to James and he'll talk to you about what happened that night. And then Mary will continue and ask you about who was affected and how. Together then we'll discuss possible ways in how the harm can be put right. And we'll suggest ideas for inclusion in the final report that will go to the court. So the judge has decided that your case is suitable for restorative process. If you complete the programme, the judge will get a copy of your report and he will take that into account when he's sentencing you. So if I could just confirm some essential facts about the next phase. We are here to deal with the offence of assault under Section 3 of the Non-Fatal Offences Against the Person Act in relation to an event that occurred in June 2014. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I understand that you pleaded guilty in court. Is that right?
Yeah.
So today's meeting is part of a formal process, but it is different from court. We will work with you and we'll be asking you to say what happened in your own words. Now, it isn't an investigation or an interrogation, although it might feel like that. We simply want to get a sense from you, in your own words, of what happened. You can take a break at any time, and in fact we might also take a break just before we start to write up the action points in the report, or just before we complete it. Okay?
Yeah.
I need to remind you also that this is an entirely voluntary process. You have the right to leave at any time, and you can have your case referred back to the court if you wish. Are you happy to proceed?
Yeah, I just want to get this all done and put it all behind me.
Okay. before we look at what happened, can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, well, what do you want to know?
Well, it says here that you're 27. Is that right? And are you working at the moment, Patrick?
No, I'm not working, but I'm saving to go over to Australia.
And what would you like to do there?
Well, a lot of my mates are over there already working, and I'd like to get some work there, possibly in construction.
And are you living at home or are you in rented accommodation?
I live with my nan. I have 2 younger brothers, and they live with my mum. But I also have an older sister. She has her own apartment. I have a nephew as well.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, Patrick. I'm going to hand you over to James now, and he'll ask you more about what happened on the night.
Now, Miriam has given us a little bit of background, but could you tell us in your own words what happened that night?
Right, so I was out drinking with the lads that evening. It was one of the fellas' birthdays, and we were drinking all day. But the argument didn't start much later, until we were in the pub. And well, it's all very hazy, but I went out to the smoking area, and John was there with his mates, and I went over and I think I asked him for a light or something like that, and he ignored me. So then I asked him again, and then he told me to fuck off, and him and his mate started laughing at me. I can't remember, but we started having an argument and shouting, and anyway, my mate came over and pulled me away. And
Hold on now. Why did he pull you back? What were you doing?
I was just acting up, or I wasn't starting or anything like that. I just got pissed off.
Right, so what happened then?
Well, my mate brought me back into the pub to cool down, and I didn't see John much later until after the night was over.
Did you continue drinking after you went back inside?
Yeah, I did. I was a mess. But I went to the chipper afterwards to sober up.
Don't worry, Patrick, we're not here to judge you. We're just trying to get the story straight in our heads. So you finished up in the pub, you had something to eat. Were you still with your friends?
No, I left before they did. I just went to get some food and then go home,
Right, so that brings us up to the incident. What happened?
Right, well, it was all a bit of a blur. I can't really remember, but I was walking on my way home, and I seen your man John there, and I just got really angry, just thinking about the way he was talking to me. Who did he think he was? You know what I mean? So, anyways, I was shouting at him, and he was on his own at the stage, so he wasn't so tough. And I went over and I think I headbutted him, and I don't remember, but just from what the guard showed me, then I started laying into him when he was on the ground, and then I ran off.
What made you stop?
Well, I think someone screamed, and that was what broke my concentration, I think.
Okay, so there were witnesses, Patrick.
Yeah, it was a couple, I think, walking home because of the scream.
What was it like to watch yourself on the CCTV footage?
Oh, yeah, it was hard. That wasn't me, I didn't recognise myself on screen.
Were you arrested that night?
Yeah, shortly after, the guards picked me up and brought me to the station to spend the night in the cell. And then the next day I was let go. I went home, and shortly after that I received a summons.
Did you cooperate with the guards? How did that all work out?
I think I might have said a few things, but I didn't resist arrest or anything like that,
And what did you say when you got home? Did you tell your nan what happened?
No. I just went straight up to my bed. It wouldn't be unusual for me to stay with a mate that night, so I was feeling so bad after all the drink, so I went up, kept myself to myself, stayed quiet. I didn't want to tell my nan because she'd just be so disappointed.
Were you talking with your friends about it?
Yeah, they were asking me about it, and I told them what I could remember, and I couldn't remember anything else, just what the guard had told me.
And what do you think about your behaviour now?
I feel really stupid. I just lost control. I don't know what I was doing.
With all the adrenaline and alcohol gone, can you see where you might have stepped back?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. But he was provoking me the first time, you know. But I shouldn't have reacted the way I did. I shouldn't have gone after him.
Can you see perhaps how there were other ways to handle it?
Yeah, I know to walk away now, you know. I know it's hard, but I wasn't myself that night. I was drunk. And I know not to start on someone now, you know. I will never start on someone. Just walk away.
Okay, well, thanks. I'm going to hand you over to Mary now.
Patrick, who do you think was affected by your actions?
Well, John, obviously, and probably the witnesses of the incident and the arresting guard.
And how do you think John was affected?
Well, I'm sure he was a bit scared, and I heard he had to get a few stitches as well, so he probably missed a few days from work.
Do you think he still might be afraid or shocked?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Have you seen him since?
No, he wasn't there that day in court, and I haven't been going out much since the incident.
How do you think he might be if he bumped into you around the place?
I don't know, maybe a bit nervous, a bit worried. Like, his own image of me as being drunk and aggressive, so I can understand that, but he doesn't need to be.
How do you think others were affected, like his friends and family?
Yeah, well, I'm sure they were upset. You know, they weren't expecting him to go to hospital after a night out, come home with blood all over his clothes, so they're probably fairly worried for him. And his friends as well, probably really angry with me.
You said there was others around at the time. What do you think it was like for them to see you attack John?
Probably really shocked and worried.
You mentioned the guards too. How do you think they were affected?
Well, I'm sure they had better things to do than to be dealing with me, you know. Probably had more important calls that had to wait.
How do you think others were impacted? Like your family, Patrick. You said you lived with your nan?
Yeah, well, she didn't take it very well. You know, she doesn't need to be dealing with my shit at her age, you know. I didn't tell my brothers, but my sister knows. And she was there with me in court. And she's very upset, I know. Because none of our family have never had trouble with the guards.
Do you want to take a break?
No, it's grand. It's just, I feel stupid, you know. Just hate what I've done.
Well, you've shown a good understanding of who is affected and how. You see, it's never just the immediate victim. There are larger ripple effects. You yourself have been affected. So, the next step in the process is to see how you might repair the harm that's been done. We'll draw up an agreement of the things that you might do. I know you've discussed these with Miriam, and we'll look at things that you may have thought about doing. We obviously want your ideas first. We might make some suggestions ourselves, but it's up to you to be happy with those. This is an entirely voluntary process. So, let's see. I will write down the points as we come up with them, and then at the end I'll read them back so that everybody can hear them again before we sign off on it. Okay. What kind of things have you thought about doing?
Well, I want to apologise to John, whether that's with a letter of apology or meeting him face to face if he'll see me.
That's a very good idea, and it's a very hard thing to do. It will, of course, depend on whether or not John wants to meet you, or whether he would even want a letter from you. If he's not willing to accept a letter from you or a meeting, would you be willing to meet with a representative from a victim support group?
Yeah, but I'd like to meet with John face to face, but that's only if he'll see me, you know.
How do you think you'd manage with meeting him?
I just want to put this behind me, you know. I just want to put an end to this and give my apology.
Do you think he still might be angry towards you?
I don't know, maybe, but it's my mistake. He can say what he wants, he can ask me whatever he wants.
Okay, well, I'll word the commitment so that it reflects John's wishes. If he doesn't want to meet with you, you can meet with a representative from a victim support group. You can write a letter of apology to John, but whether or not he gets that will depend on whether or not he wants to receive it. Miriam will contact him and see what he says, and she'll attend any meeting with you together with another caseworker. Okay? The meeting will only happen if it's safe for both you and John. Okay? Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
Any other ideas?
I want to donate some money to charity.
How much were you thinking of contributing?
I think €150.
And who would you like to make that donation to?
Temple Street Children's Hospital.
Now, you are currently unemployed, so do you think is €150 manageable for you?
Yeah, I've saved a bit and I can have the rest in a couple of weeks before I go back to court.
That'd be great. Now, you'll make the donation yourself, and then when you come along to the next meeting, bring the receipt with you. Miriam will tell you how you go about doing that. Any other suggestions?
Well, we had talked about Patrick maybe writing a reflective piece on his actions and who was affected and how, what he's learned from the experience, and maybe how he would react in a similar situation now.
That's a very common element in agreements. It gives you a chance to show the court that you've reflected on what you've done and learned from the process. It picks up on the ripple effects I mentioned earlier that show that it's seldom just the victim that is affected by an offence or a crime. Now, it is important to make it a personal account, not just a piece of homework, to show how you really feel about this. Anything else?
Well, I was thinking about meeting the arresting guard or maybe writing a letter of apology.
I don't think in this case you need to write a letter of apology or meet the guard. You didn't resist arrest or cause any problems. It could be enough to show in your reflective piece that you understand that you had an impact on them.
On the other hand, you could think about writing a letter of apology to your family. What do you think?
Yeah, well, how do you mean?
Now, I know it seems a bit strange writing a letter, but you did mention that your nan and your sister were upset about what happened. That might help to reassure them. Reassure them that it was out of character for you and to help to draw a line under it. But it's completely up to you.
Yeah, I can do that. They've been really good to me.
Again, it's really important to make this a letter from the heart, and the court will want to know that they have seen it.
No problem.
What about your drinking, Patrick? Is that something you've thought about? It was clearly a factor in your behaviour that night.
Well, I don't think I have a problem or anything. Like, I've cut down hugely. I barely go out anymore. But all my mates used to get hammered before we went out.
Well, maybe you could look at doing an alcohol awareness course. I'm sure there are some available near you. Miriam could help find one for you.
I don't think I need to go to an AA meeting or anything because I'm not an alcoholic.
No one is saying anything about that. But people are often surprised at what they learn in an alcohol awareness program. It's not about stopping drinking or not enjoying yourself. It's just about learning how to drink sensibly. It could be a good thing to do for yourself, and it's a good thing for the courts to see you do.
What about anger management? Is anger an issue, maybe? Although the assault was drink-fuelled, you did go after the victim a long time after the initial incident in the pub and lost control when hitting him. That suggests a lot of anger.
Well, that was completely out of character, you know. I don't think I have any real problems. I get annoyed if I think someone is laughing or taking the piss out of me or my mates, but I haven't lost control before the incident or since.
Well, it's up to you. And I accept that it hasn't been a problem since the incident, but it might not be a bad idea at least to do a short programme. It can be very helpful in understanding triggers that cause anger and how to manage angry emotions. Like the alcohol awareness, it might also be reassuring to the court or to the victim that you're doing something about this. What do you think of that, Patrick?
Yeah, well, how long would I have to do it for?
Miriam can help you identify a programme. We're talking a few hours, not weeks.
Yeah, alright, grand, yeah, that'll be alright.
How do you spend your free time now, Patrick?
Well, I've started doing some martial arts. Helps me focus. I do that 3 times a week with my girlfriend. Also, a few other days a week, I'm in the gym now as well. And I've also signed up for a jobs course, and that starts in 3 weeks.
Okay, that's great. Best of luck with all of that.
Any other suggestions? Anybody? No? Okay, well, there's one standard point that we haven't discussed yet, and that's the commitment to good behaviour. Now, I know you haven't been in trouble before, Patrick, and you haven't been involved in any offences since, so I don't think that's going to be a problem for you. So, if everybody's happy, I'll read back over everything and just confirm what the agreement reads. Okay. I, Patrick Byrne, met with the Offender Reparation panel on 20th September 2014 and agreed to the following. Meet the victim of my offending behaviour, if possible, or a representative of a victim support group.